Donald Trump and Melania Trump are emotionally incapable and disqualified of being in the seats that they're in. These people are thin-skinned, emotionally stunted narcissists to their core. They cannot handle comedians in a free country. And so after this shooting, you would think the country would be talking about gun violence and mental health issues and healthcare. No. Melania has gone on Twitter, as I spoke with Jim Acosta about yesterday, in a stage 5 meltdown, demanding that Jimmy Kimmel be fired. And Jimmy Kimmel made a joke, a trope that has been going around for decades about a trophy wife who marries for money, being somewhat excited when the old man kicks the bucket. This is not new. This is comedy. She is the aforementioned trophy wife. They don't even sleep in the same bedroom, for God's sake. We've all seen the video of her slapping his hand. She cannot stand the guy. But nonetheless, any moment to be a victim, the Trumps are like, we're right here. And then they have these army of titty babies. I mean, the weakest, most emotionally stunted people on the planet. But Jimmy Kimmel comes back last night, and here's his reaction. Play the clip.
10 rows. I said, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at her, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow, which obviously was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not by any stretch of the definition a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence in particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend, and probably every weekend is pretty stressful in that house. And also, I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I do, and I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about it, because
That's exactly right. Her husband calls for the extermination of an entire civilization. Her husband calls Democrats the enemy from within, vermin. They call peaceful protesters terrorists. I mean, these people are such titty babies, pumps.
You know, here's the thing. When I saw Melania's meltdown about this, I'm like, this obviously hit really close to home because she's throwing such a fit about it. It's like, thou dost protest too much. I immediately thought, oh my gosh, that's what she's thinking all the time. Or why would she get so mad? It's such an innocuous joke.
Yeah, I mean, and it's such a tell that they freak out like this. It's such a reveal that they get so defensive about it. All right. And then here is a montage of Trump's attacks, the violent rhetoric that the president of the United States has been using for over a decade. Play the clip.
Indeed, the enemy from within. But this is who we're fighting. We will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country.
The Democrats are sick. There's something wrong. They're like terrorists.
The ultra-left-wing liars, losers, creeps, perverts, and freaks who are devouring the future of this state like a swarm of locusts.
The radical left, the Marxists, the anarchists, the agitators, the looters.
Kamala is mentally impaired. Joe Biden became mentally impaired.
All right. So, I mean, as you can see, it's just nonstop from these people. And this is the same administration that over the weekend I read a report, they want to bring back firing squads in the electric chair. And I just want to point out that their policies are inherently terroristic. For example, our home state of Oklahoma imposes legal restrictions on women's reproductive freedom. And that means that if your daughter or you or your sister or your aunt or your mother are raped, which is a total act of violence, and should you have a pregnancy at that point, you no longer have freedom. That is an act of terror by MAGA. Say it with me. MAGA is the anti-family death cult. All of their policies lead to death. These people are thin-skinned, and Melania Trump and Donald Trump are too emotionally stunted and immature to be in these seats in the office.
Well, and also with Melania, is it a total lack of self-awareness that
Yes.
do you think it's just lack of self-awareness? She just doesn't get it?
I think these people do not have the ability to have an open mind. They're so narcissistic. They only see everything from their lens. Like, it's okay for Trump to do these things. It's okay for him to say these things because we're right, because we're different. And I just think these are mentally ill, emotionally stunted idiots. I mean, truly, I do. It's just objectively false for anybody to get on television right now and say the Democrats' rhetoric. Here's the thing. The Trump regime is somewhat communistic. They're the ones who are, we're going to buy this airline and take it over. And then the government's taking this over and that over. They're supposed to be the small government people. It's a total crime syndicate. He is a fascist. He is an authoritarian. And here is their chief propagandist, Caroline Leavitt, blaming the Democrats for the gun situation at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Play the clip. clip.
Whether you're on television, a podcast host, people listen. And when you have mentally disturbed individuals across the country who are listening to this crazed rhetoric about the president day after day after day, it inspires them to do crazy things. And unfortunately, it's not just the media, it is the entire Democrat Party has made their pitch to voters across the country that Donald Trump poses an existential threat to democracy, that
He does.
fascist,
Yeah,
that
right.
He is.
Hitler. I mean, these are just
Vice President Vance did that. Okay, stop. I've heard enough. His own vice president called him Hitler. For God's sake, this is such an effort to suppress free speech because they know, history knows, everybody knows he is all of these things. And we're going to continue to say it. But if you want to listen to podcasters, I recommend that Caroline Levitt go take a dabble and listen to the podcast that the pastor of Pete Hegseth goes on. Go listen to MAGA pastor Joel Webbin. Go listen to these people. Go listen to what they say in podcasts. Go listen to an Oklahoma City employee who, as a side hustle, is a Baptist preacher who calls for the execution of homosexuals. Go listen to the violent rhetoric about women. It's obscene. It is inherently violent. Your own boss at his rallies is always like, well, we need cops that'll rough them up and all of this provocative language. I want to be crystal clear. I don't want anybody in MAGA to die. I don't want to go to dinner with you. I don't want to sit down and have a beer with you. I want you to have health care, but I don't want you, I don't want the president, I don't want Melania to fall prey to violence. I oppose the mass weapons and easy to get guns that are all over the country. It is a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. And you have no credibility because you don't give a shit when little kids die at school. You couldn't care less.
Well, it's just, she came back from maternity leave to deliver that. And I thought, is that because she can sit there and lie with a straight face? I'm so tired of everybody's a victim of the Democrats and the rhetoric. Shut up. The rhetoric starts at the top. We all know it. Stop gaslighting. To sit there and act like this is a problem on the other side without acknowledging it comes from the top. It's a waste of space. It's a waste of air. Her voice is just like, wah, 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 wah.
Okay. And then, of course, Lara Trump, she's kind of a fascinating case. She's like a singer and
a bad singer.
She's married to Dumber. I mean, out of Dumb and Dumber, she's married to Dumber of the Sons, and she's always on Fox. I think she might even have a show on
Yes,
Fox.
she does.
But here she is talking about this. Play the clip.
People absolutely need to come out and unequivocally state that Donald Trump was elected as the president of the United States, that he is not a tyrant, he is not a dictator, he is not authoritarian in what he does. I was highly...
He is all of those things.
He's all of those things.
He is every single one of those things, objectively. And he demonstrates being a tyrant and pitching fits all the time. After this dust up, this shooting, I mean, whatever it was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, he doesn't come out and talk about gun violence like a little tyrant. He says, this is why I need my ballroom. And then all of these beta males and all of these paid MAGA influencers like, yeah, this is why he needs his ballroom. He needs his ballroom now. And that's all. He's laser focused on his arch, his ballroom. It's the most bizarre stuff on the planet. But the reason they're trying to say, don't call us Nazis, don't call us fascists, don't call us authoritarians, is because they are. Objectively, right. That's what they are. And then you might remember from the night of the shooting, the incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Katie Miller was put in front of her husband, Stephen Miller, known alpha male extraordinaire. And he's behind her, crouching down. He's not very tall. So he's like behind his wife. Now, if he wasn't using her as a shield and it was something private between the two of them and they were whisked to safety, you would never talk about it again. But Katie Miller says, hold my beer. I want to defend my husband, the biggest pussy in government, Stephen Miller. I mean, it's just a real knee slapper. But the fact that she felt like she needed to address it, that he wasn't using her as a shield, tells you 100% he was using her as a shield. Otherwise, you would never address it, ever, ever. You don't have to come out and defend the truth. But I just also want to point out that Katie Miller is the woman who says that teen pregnancy in the United States has declined, and that's a huge problem. She also has picked a fight with Miss Rachel. So in the one hand, you have Katie Miller, who is all about people need to breed and we need to have families and women need to quit being so career oriented. And on the other hand, she's launched a podcast in the throes of a pregnancy and she's picking a fight with the biggest child advocate on the planet, Miss Rachel. And I guarantee you, the Miller's kids, probably when their parents are gone, because they both work full time, which is fine. I have no issue with that. And they're sitting at home with the nanny on their military house on a military base because Steve Miller's too big of a pussy to live anywhere else. I bet the kids are like, can we watch Miss Rachel? And the nanny's like, oh, yeah, let's do it. I bet there's a little bit of resistance inside the Miller household. Pumps.
I'm just thinking, like, here are all these kids that are being raised by these people. You see how generations of racism and homophobia, how it happens right before our eyes. But I got the biggest kick out of her going on and acting like, oh, no, he was protecting me. I laughed out loud.
He couldn't touch my belly.
It's our baby, which I immediately thought just a little racist coming down the pike.
He can't stand kids. So, I mean, the last thing he was going to do was touch my belly. So it was much better when he was being a pussy and hiding behind me to grab my tit. I mean, it's just unbelievable how stupid these people are and vile. Okay. All right. Hakeem Jeffries comes out yesterday and talks to the press about all of this. Play the clip.
Notion that any of us are concerned with so-called criticism from these phony Republicans as it relates to anything that has been said, certainly as it relates to the comment related to maximum warfare everywhere, all the time, in connection with the redistricting battle that Republicans launched. I stand by it. You can continue to criticize me for it. I don't give a damn about your criticism.
Pops.
Here's the thing. I look at all of this in the context of what has been happening in the world. And, I appreciate Hakeem Jeffries coming out and saying he doesn't care if they're criticized and he's going to continue to talk about, the redistricting. And I think he should. But I look at what's happening as a messaging issue. Well, if you look at the manifesto of the guy that did the shooting and all that, we have a president that is in the Epstein files over 1 million times. We have a president that allows his Secretary of Defense to shoot boats, fishing boats, in open water. You have a war in Iran with no purpose, no exit strategy that is killing little girls, and now they're threatening infrastructures. American citizens are getting picked off on the street for protesting. So I don't want to look at the small isolated picture like Caroline Levitt of rhetoric. I want to look at the body of work in the last, 14, 16 months, because it has been an assault on the American people from jump. That's what I want to talk about. That's what I think needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I think that we need to see Hakeem more. We need to see him more frequently. We need to see more Democrats all of the time. And I think when they come out, what they're trying to do is capture the news cycle. And so many times, Democrats will cede the narrative that the Republicans create. We need to tone down the rhetoric. I wish that the Democrats would have a massive press conference and play that Zateo clip that we played earlier and invite Marjorie Taylor Greene at that press conference, because Marjorie Taylor Greene was, a big time triple Trumper for her entire political career. And then she has jumped from that ship, and the president said disparaging, insightful things about her. And then she starts getting death threats. Her son starts getting death threats. And this is something that you could also have federal judges and judges that Trump has targeted, because the rhetoric consistently and always comes from the president. And instead of playing defense, and I saw what Hakeem there did was play defense, they need to be on offense and don't get in a defensive position at any point. All of the violent rhetoric, the majority, I would say 90%, comes from the right wing. Go listen to the podcast. Go listen to the right wing podcast. It's wild. We play their clips on here sometimes. All right. And finally, Lindsey Graham put down the bubble wand, and he's not talking about Iran, and he is laser focused on getting the public, the American taxpayers, to pay for the ballroom. And you remember when this was pitched, no, it's all going to be privately funded. It's all going to be privately funded. Well, a lot of big, rich, weak bedwetting billionaires already wrote their checks. Here's your money for the ballroom. All right. So that's already gone out because he's talked about all the money he's raised. Now we're shifting gears and we're going to have the public pay for the ballroom. So I wonder where that money went, first of all. But here's little bubble wand, alleged heterosexual Lindsey Graham. Play the clip.
We're going to introduce legislation that would authorize $400 million to be spent to secure to build the presidential ballroom. Underneath, there will be a lot of military stuff. There will be a Secret Service annex.
So there he is. There it is right there. $400 million. And here's the deal. I don't really care if the president builds the ballroom. I don't care if the president goes on golf. I don't care if he goes on vacations. I've never cared about that shit that is put up on top of the news cycle. What I care about here is the clear bribery scheme that the president is running in the Oval Office, because he's a dirty cop and it's a crime syndicate, where he has billionaires come in and write him a check. And then he curries favor with them via, oh, I'll give you a tip so you can game the stock market, or I'll make sure you get a government subsidy here and a government contract there. And it's the dishonesty surrounding it all. Not to mention, he illegally tore down the East Wing. That's not something that you can just arbitrarily do. One could argue, Lara Trump, that is the move of a tyrant, that a tyrant usurps Congress and says, fuck it, get the bulldozers in here. I'm going to tear it down anyway. That's not the way this works. The number one thing that this administration is penetrating is the rule of law. Elementary school students, we can ask the sixth graders, what are the three branches of government? And they all know what those three branches are. The tyrant, and what else did she say we couldn't call him? Hang on, let me check my notes here. Authoritarian and a dictator. He is all of those things. And he has zero intention of leaving the Oval Office. We saw what happened last time. So Trump, I get what a nut he is. I truly understand a crazy person in solitude. Nothing he does surprises me. Nothing. He's the most predictable, crazy person on the planet. It's these people that have completely debased themselves for this guy. Like, yeah, let's just throw the whole country down the tubes for Donald Trump.